Will you be able to share your presentation? I see that you are muted. That's right. Okay. We can see your presentation, but we cannot hear you yet. Can you hear us? Okay, but we cannot hear you. Did you look your mic on? Okay. I see that I have microphone issues.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear us now?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry for this. I had to quickly run to my colleague's office. Okay, so without further ado, thank you for your patience. I'm presenting on pedagogy and aesthetics. It's basically what I've been doing at the School of Health Sciences here at the University of the Free State. So I'm particularly interested in the pedagogical and the visual design principles. So let's do this. Quickly going to tell you about the background. It's not very researchy. This is more of a show and tell. And then just quickly share the approach I've followed, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff where I'll share some practical examples and a few take-home messages. So I don't know about you, but it might also be the case with you. We decided that, or we had a renewed focus on short learning programs. So 2 schools from the Faculty of Health Sciences put up their hands to run with this. First was the School of Nursing. They indicated the need for a nursing preceptor short learning program for health professionals to assist the students with a successful transfer of their learning from the classrooms to the clinical practice. And the second one was for School of Clinical Medicine, where they wanted to do a short learning program in patient blood management to address all kinds of blood transfusion issues and in general to address the lack of expertise. So the challenge was that these SLPs were to be delivered in a fully online mode, fully asynchronous, which of course is beneficial, one, for the institution, and that it provides third stream income, and also to accommodate and provide flexibility to busy healthcare workers who have to balance work, study, and family responsibilities. So by designing and developing for asynchronous online learning, that is a beast. So it requires intentional instructional design. So we formed a design team which consisted of the subject matter expert, obviously from the school, an ID, which was me, a graphic designer, and the video team. And because we wanted to develop high quality, internationally competitive SLPs, we were, from the back, we were had to intentionally anchor these SLPs in academically sound principles. So, of course, we started off with our friend Addie, and I'm not going to bore you with all the analysis and the design. I extracted a few of the most important things, which is for analysis. We looked at the student and especially the age. Since students are adults and postgrads, we could follow an andragogical approach, leaning very much towards self-directed learning, where students realize their responsibility towards learning and taking charge of it. And I must say, it's a lot easier to design for adult learners than for undergrads. So also we knew that our students would come with a wealth of knowledge, so already thinking about strategies to tap into prior knowledge when we design our activities. So during the content analysis, that's where the SMEs obviously derive their outcomes. And because in medical education, competency-based education has become the dominant paradigm, and therefore the SMEs purposefully planned outcomes to entail knowledge application rather than knowledge acquisition. So if you look at that red block in the left top part, during the design phase, we compiled an outcomes alignment chart where we identified possible learning activities and assessments while aligning it all with one another. And here the look and feel was also determined. One of the programs chose a vintage look and feel as well as we went with university colors, but just to give that extra oomph. So we decided about in the development phase is where I say the rubber meets the tar. So this is where I got to do the work. So we had to work within the confinements of the institution and therefore use Blackboard as our LMS, and I used Articulate 360 to create tailor-made interactive learning activities. So if we go to the, got to list quickly the models and principles. I've used Merrill, Meyer, UDL. I've used what I've learned from my masters and also the community of inquiry model here. So if we go to the examples, the one on the first one that we feel very strongly of is collaborating to construct knowledge together. If you look at example 1, they had to share a screenshot of their results by posting it in the discussion forum. Then they had to compare their results, and then they also had to give possible reasons where there was differences. In example 2, we give them a graphic, and then we give them a clinical situation where they have to debate among one another, and that was quite a controversial topic. So we thought that would be a good way of constructing knowledge together. In this one, in medical education, we make use of scenarios mostly to apply their knowledge. So here's an example of what I've done in Articulate. They could click on any of those 4 buttons to go to any scenario. Then we have the vintage clipboard in which the patient's information would appear, and then they had all these options as answers. So when they clicked on the wrong one, screen would appear telling them why that was wrong. So we had bold in specific and immediate feedback by doing this. Another one, an example of applying knowledge was to purposefully create videos with mistakes in. So we used then, I think we used Edpuzzle to build in pop-up blocks. When that actor did something wrong, a pop-up block would appear asking the student what was done wrong here, why, and so forth. So weaving in human connectedness is very difficult when you design for asynchronous learning. I mean, there's only so many things you can do. I think you're all familiar with the first example in creating a video where the facilitator introduces herself. But then we went further and giving the students Flipgrid so they can also introduce themselves. In example 2, where this program was to be offered all over Africa, we used Padlet, where they could click on the location icon and then take a photo of themselves and write something in the block, posting it where they are in Africa. And in example 3, that would be another example where in this case, we would ask them about a failure, a nightmare, or a success. So in essence, we actually ask them to be a little bit vulnerable with one another, and thereby contributing in creating a community of inquiry. Community of practice. I'm sorry, getting my models and my theories confused. Okay, so tapping into prior knowledge, I always use this one at the onset, especially when you introduce a new unit. So as you can see in example 1, we took them back to their clinical practice and telling them or asking them, think back of the last patient you saw, and was anemia on top of your mind when you assessed that person. That is evident for example 2 as well. Give 2 possible gaps that you experienced. Okay, learner-centeredness, I mean, it's very broad, but I have 2 examples of giving choice to learners. In the first one, we ask them to go and look for a best practice guideline, and then they should create that guideline with the tool we give them. So total freedom in that one. And in the second one, that was an assignment. We gave 2 scenarios where they could select any one of them. Okay, problem-based learning, as you could see in this one, we ask them, they've been appointed in their region, and they should write this business case for a certain amount of words. If we go to the visual principles, the graphic on your left might look very simple to you, but they actually went a lot of thought and discussion around this. And I think the graphic designer had to redo this one, I think 3 times. Initially, we had wine bottles and wine glasses. So we realized then this might be offensive, or other cultures or religions might not be able to relate to this. So we then designed it in a more neutral way to be more inclusive. In example 2, we did not only use actors that is inclusive in terms of gender and culture and those type of things. We also had the actors dressed in the uniforms that the different healthcare professions would typically wear, and we had a photographer taking photos of them. So we really went to town with this one. Okay, so Maya's principle rule for me, here we had on the left, we have an infographic of all the medicines or pictures thereof. If they click on it, it will give all the information. And example 2 is just a simple mnemonic I've used to make it more fun for them to learn. So as I mentioned earlier, we had a vintage theme in one of the programs. So we thought that did you know of the chappie that would really resonate with everybody. So using the signaling principle here as well, or the pre-training principle, sorry. So they knew the moment when they saw a chappie paper, okay, this is facts. And the moment that they would see example 2, it would be instructions. They know an assignment is would be coming. And then finally, we use the kindly note, a vintage ticket to just for noting ideas, but while making it fun, but applying theory. So the segmenting principle by Maya, you can see on in example 1 that instead of just lots of text on screen, we found different ways into segmenting and sharing information with the students. And example 2, Maya also states that segmenting has to do with building in or give the students some freedom or more control by incorporating back and next button into the articulate storyline. So it doesn't just play automatically, the student has control about it. So take-home messages, this was extremely time consuming to do. I was fortunate that I was working in a production hub for online learning material, but I'm not going to lie, it really took a long time. And the other challenge is that you have to have a dedicated SMER to do this level of online learning. And still, especially in the beginning, it was difficult for them to grasp the world of online learning. For me, as an ID, it was satisfying and very fun to see how ID can come to life and how you could physically apply theory to practice. And I must say, the fact that I had free reign on this project elevated my creativity levels even more. So I'm very thankful for the experience. Okay, colleagues, that was a wrap. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much for this insightful presentation. I want to know any questions from the floor? I see Johan says, bravo, well done. And Marie says, I like the chappie idea. Is there anything that you wanted to ask, Nirisha? I see that some people has already left. Thank you so much for this presentation. You've really given us nice ideas. It's very informative, and we will be able to also look into what you've done. Thank you so much for everything. And now we've come to the end of this session. You can just log in to the next session that will start within 4 minutes time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ankie.